What's going on, guys? So in today's video I'm going to talk about why your run time hasn't been improving. So I'm finally making a video talking about running, right? So the reason it's been so long since I've made a video kind of more related to fitness and giving you guys some tips is because I was wanting to make this video out and about doing some running and showing you guys some certain things, and I thought that was just, I guess, too much for the first video for this. And this one, I want to talk about why your run hasn't been improving, because I get this question a lot, you know, advice on improving your run times. I've been doing this and it's not working, or, you know, just ask me for advice on running. Whoever's watching this video, if you're trying to improve your run time and it's not going anywhere, you're falling into one of three categories. There's literally going to be people who are doing next to nothing to try and improve their run time, so that's going to be one category. There's going to be another category of people who are running, but they're not really running long enough, right? So you're doing some distance running, you're not running long enough. There's also a group of people who are running super long distances, but they're not struggling at all. They're not improving their actual time. So if you're trying to test yourself on the 2-mile run, which is what the vast majority of the people that are even watching this right now because we're wanting to join the military or you're in the military, that's what we're going to be testing ourselves on, is the 2-mile run. So you're going to fall into one of those three categories, and I will kind of address each three in this video. First off, doing something is better than nothing, and consistency is definitely the key here whenever it comes to running and really exercise in general. There's literally going to be people who go to basic training, who join the military, any branch, and they haven't really ran at all before they leave. And I think that is extremely stupid. So if you're one of those people, I urge you to actually get off your butt and go run, right? Because that is going to be the thing you need to do, because something is better than nothing. So if you're that person right now who has been running, maybe you've been running just like short quarter mile, half mile, like just really short distances, like once or even twice a week, you need to actually do something, do more of it, right? Because sitting on the couch, thinking about running, only going to the gym and doing other exercises, or maybe even other cardio exercises, isn't really gonna help you when it comes to the 2-mile run for basic training, because that's kind of what, again, we're being tested on here, is how fast can we get this 2-mile run in, and how can we improve that time. Now, for the two other types of people that run short distances and run long distances but really slowly, there's one key factor that you're missing out if your run time isn't improving. If you've been running for a while, if you've been running pretty consistently, and your run time, if you've been testing yourself on an actual time trial for like a 1-mile or a 2-mile run and it's not improving, it all boils down to one very simple thing that you might be like, what the heck, that is like so stupid. Why are you even making a video talking about this? And it is completely the intensity of your workouts, right? So if you're not improving, it is all unless you're injured or something, it is all dependent upon your intensity of your workouts, and your intensity has not been high enough. So if you happen to be the kind of person who is running, like literally people will tell me that they're running 5, 6, 7-mile runs, but they can't pass a PT test. And I'm literally mind blowing them by that. They're doing that on a, I don't know how regular basis, but just the fact that if you can do that and you can't pass a PT test as far as the run goes, you're doing it way too slow. Like, it's all good and everything, it's all great to be able to run that far. And I don't know, generally people don't tell me if they stop and walk. Sometimes people will be brave enough to say, hey, you know, I ran 4 miles, but I did walk some of it. But if you're going that distance and you're doing your mile pace at like an 11 or 12-minute mile pace, that's way too slow. So what I urge you to do is increase the intensity of your runs and shorten the distance, right? So if you're doing 3, 4, 5-mile runs and you're doing that, but you're doing that at an extremely low pace, either one, you need to just shorten the distance and increase the speed that you're running, and do that and make that more intense. Because I promise you, if you're doing those 5-mile runs and you're completing them and you're not tired at the end and you're not passing the PT test, or you're not doing a 2-mile run and passing that, then you're doing it way too slow and you're not pushing yourself hard enough. So either you need to shorten it, or you can keep your long runs in there, but you need to incorporate shorter distance, higher intensity runs. So if you're doing these long runs, what you need to do is add in some shorter distance runs. So you can add in some 30-60s or 61-20s, or you can add in just 1 mile runs that are really fast, and you can do a couple of those. You can add in 2 mile runs and test yourself. If you're wanting to improve your run time, you have to have some kind of measurement to measure that and see how you're doing, and the best way to do that is literally just to test yourself on a fairly regular basis. Now when it comes to running, how much you want to test yourself is completely up to you, but I would say if you're really going for it, to do like a 2 mile like trial test run about every other week, so you can really just, you know, go for it like really hard about every other week. And then you can also, if you want to do it more consistently, I would suggest doing maybe like shorter distance, so like a 1 mile run, and testing yourself doing that and then seeing how you're going to progress. So you're going to need to increase the intensity of your run. So make sure you're doing shorter distance runs. So if you're doing a longer distance, so 3, 4, 5 miles, you need to do shorter distance runs, 1 or 2 miles, and do those at a much higher intensity. The other group of people are going to be people who are doing those 1 half a mile, 1 mile, 2 mile runs, but they're not really improving, right? So what's going to happen is, if you're preparing for a PT test, right? A PT test in the Army is gonna be a 2 mile run. If you're preparing for that 2 mile run and you only ever run 1 mile runs, if you only ever even run 2 mile runs, what's gonna happen is you're gonna get gassed out, right? You're not really gonna have the energy to finish off that 2 mile run for the PT test. Like, you're going to get tired. A lot of people, like literally a lot of people, do not do runs when they're preparing longer than a mile, and it blows my mind because like they'll do fine, you know, they'll do fine for the first mile, but after that first mile hits, you're not used to actually running farther than that. You need to increase the distance and making sure that you are running longer than that 2 miles, okay? So if you're preparing for a PT test and you're doing shorter distance runs and you're not improving, you're gonna wanna increase the distance that you're running. So it's almost the exact opposite of what the other person's problem was. So the other people, they're running long distances, but they're running it way too slow and it's not very intense. There's some people that are gonna be running shorter distances, and when it comes to the 2 mile run, they get gassed out. So what you gotta do is just run at a slower pace to maintain that over a longer period of time. And if you can go from, you know, doing that 1 mile run and being okay with it, to doing a 1.5, to a 2 mile run, to a 3 mile run, to a 4 mile run, and if you can increase that, keeping like the same pace. So if the pace you're running a 2 mile run, not for a PT test, all right, so if just training speed, which is probably gonna be around about 70 to 80% of your PT test speed, you're gonna wanna try to maintain that pace over a longer distance. So if you can do a run at 2 miles at 70% intensity, and then after training for a while, you can do a 4 mile run at that same 70% intensity at that same pace, then your 2 mile run, just by like proxy of improving on that, is going to get faster. And this is kind of what I've been working on recently. This is, I mean, it's not like I'm terrible at running or anything. I'm actually, you know, I've been working at it a lot. But what I've been doing to improve on my run, because I'm trying to get my run time back down to a 12 flat, which is a 6-minute mile per each mile. And it takes a lot of training to do that. And what I've been trying to do, because I can do like the shorter distance runs fast and stuff like that, but I've been trying to, for one, I'm also, I guess, trying to train for a half a marathon. So this is a totally different subject. But so I've been incorporating longer distance runs, and I've been doing 4 mile runs, 5 mile runs, even the 6 mile run every now and then, just to build that up, keeping a more steady pace throughout that time. And I've noticed that, you know, me doing a 3 mile run before is just as easy as me doing a 4 or even a 5 mile run sometimes if I'm feeling good. And because of that, my 2 mile run time has increased a lot. Like doing a 2 mile run just feels like a cinch right now. Like it feels almost like a warm up for me to do a 2 mile run at around about like an 80 to a 90% intensity. Obviously, if I'm taking a PT test, I'm gonna go all out and be really tired and stuff, but you know, I do recover. I feel like much faster now. But that's beside the point. That's what I've been doing. That's what I feel like I've needed to work on, which is improving the longer distances. So let's say you're in the category of the person who is either not doing anything at all, you haven't ran in the past 3 years or 4 years or even in your lifetime or whatever, or you're running extremely short distances. And what I mean by that is less than 1 mile runs whenever you actually do train. That is not good enough. I'm just saying, under any circumstance, I don't care what fitness level you're in, doing less than a mile for your cardio is just simply not enough. I don't care how slow you're running it or whatever, just getting a distance of greater than a mile is what you're going to need to do to improve. I've had people who've asked me questions, who's talked to me about, you know, cardio and how to improve their run, and one of the first things I generally ask is, what are you doing right now? Because I can't tell you how you're going to improve if I don't know like something about how you're training right now, what your goals are and stuff like that. Because like as you've seen, there's different types of people that are gonna be in different phases of their fitness levels. And sometimes, a couple of times this has happened, people will tell me that they're doing extremely short distances, not very frequently. So they'll be like, I'm doing like a half a mile run, you know, just like 2 or 3 times a week, and you know, maybe I'll incorporate, you know, something else or whatever. But that is not enough. Running 1.5 miles, running 2 miles for the entire week is not going to improve you. Yes, it is definitely better than doing nothing. If you are not running at all, just getting up and running is going to help. But I promise you, you are not going to get to the point where you can pass a PT test, even the minimum for the run, just by doing that. So what you're gonna need to do for all of those people out there who are like, I can't freaking do 2 mile runs right now, I can't do a 3, 4, 5 mile run, like, are you freaking crazy? The strategy that will help you guys out with this to increase the volume for your runs is by doing multiple iterations of a run. So this is kind of where 30-60s and 61-20s come into play, which is sprinting for 30 seconds, walking for a minute, or sprinting for 60 seconds and walking for 2 minutes. That's 30-60s and 61-20s. That is one of the ways that the Army trains you for your cardio. So that's gonna help you out a lot, especially if you're at the beginner level. The other thing that you can do is, let's say you can only really do like a half a mile run right now, or you only want to do like quarter mile runs and you can't really get to that mile distance yet, or you can't get to that 2 mile distance yet. What you can do to improve at the beginning stages of this is do multiple runs, right? So if you're wanting to, you know, let's say you're trying to get that to that 1 mile run, you can't do a 1 mile run yet without stopping. What you can do is do 4 quarter mile runs at a fast pace with a couple minute break in between. So you run a quarter mile at a pretty fast pace, and then you rest for 1 to 2 minutes, and then you run another quarter mile, and then you rest. And the same thing can be said if you're wanting to increase any other distance of running. I suggest that run time that you're trying to do be basically increase as well. So if you're really trying to get to that 2 mile distance, then you can maybe start with half a mile runs, or maybe even 1 mile runs, and do those over and over again. The thing that I'm going to be doing myself when I prepare for this PT test in January, so it'll be coming up soon when I actually start doing this, is I'm going to go to a track. I'm going to do 1 mile runs at a significantly fast pace, so around like 90% of the pace, 95% of the pace that I want to do for my 2 mile PT test. And I'm going to do, you know, 5 miles of that. So I'm going to do 5 iterations with a couple minutes break in between, just doing them at a fast pace. Now, cumulatively, that is going to be a really fast 5 mile run, and that's going to help me out whenever it comes to increasing how fast and how long I can maintain that fast pace if you can't do it already. So if you're at the beginning stages of this, I really recommend doing 30-60s, 61-20s, and doing multiple iterations for your run. Don't worry about doing extremely long distance runs. Don't worry about that stuff yet. Just build yourself up, because there's literally people who haven't ran much in their entire life, and you're going to start at ground zero. And don't be discouraged by it. Everybody starts somewhere, right? Everybody starts somewhere, so you need to start wherever you're at, figure out what you can do, and just keep doing it. And the best way to improve, the literal best way, in my opinion, if you're starting from ground zero, especially if you don't have that long to train, is do multiple workouts in a day. So run in the morning, run later in the afternoon, right? Just do that. So do a 1 or 2 mile run, do another 1 or 2 mile run, and that's really gonna help you out. So this was a bit of a long-winded video on how to improve your running and why you're not improving your run, which I said at the beginning of this video is the intensity of your run, and it kind of just transformed into a couple of different tips that I can give you guys. But I hope you guys either learned something or maybe were motivated to get off your butt and go do something. Or if you're already doing something, maybe to increase the intensity of that, because that is literally the key to fitness in general, to running in general, is increasing the intensity. The more in shape you are, the more you're gonna have to increase that intensity. If I worked out right now, if I ran at the same intensity or at the same level that I did whenever I first started or whenever I was a beginner, I wouldn't be improving. I would even be backtracking, okay? So the more you run, the more you're going to have to run to increase that. So if you're trying to get your 2 mile time from 30 minutes down to 18 minutes, you're going to have to progressively increase the amount of distances, the amount of times you're going to be running. And I know somebody's going to ask me this right now, so I'm going to go ahead and address this in the comment section. How often should you run? And it is completely up to your body, although I do recommend at least 3 times a week. So if you're really wanting to improve your run, I do recommend at least 3 times a week, preferably 4 or even 5, depending on what level you're at. Once you start running, if you haven't been running before, you might be experiencing pains or certain issues, and you might get tired, cramps, shin splints, different issues like that. Your feet might hurt. So listen to your body when you're training, but don't wimp out, right? Don't wimp out. When you get to basic training, you're going to be hurting. Like, you could very well have really bad shin splints. You could have blisters on your feet, but guess what? You still have to keep going. So kind of build up that mental toughness to where, oh, I feel like I have an ache today, my calves are hurting. You know, I did a 3 mile run earlier, my calves are sore, my legs are sore, I did leg day. You know, things are hurting, but I'm still going. So you have to have that mindset to where you're not going to let every little tiny thing that holds you back from running or getting in shape get in the way of you wanting to get in shape. And again, that is it for this video. If you enjoyed it or if you got something out of it, hopefully you will hit that like button. That would be awesome. If you want to stick around for some more of my videos, hit that subscribe button. That would be even better. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, comment section is down below. Social media links right here, Instagram and Snapchat. I hope you guys have a great day, and I will see you guys later.